Hey, it's Andy Jenkins, and I am here on the Oily App wall. And hopefully, in a couple seconds, some of you are going to go ahead and jump on. I'm going to go ahead and get started, really because we've kind of figured out most of the people that watch this stuff, they actually watch the replay. And so when they do that, it doesn't make sense to leave them sitting there and taking all this time just kind of talking through and treading water and letting everybody get on. So let me give you kind of some of the tips as you're getting on. And if when you get on, if you'll just kind of say your name and comment there, I'm going to get to where I can see that. I think something's going on with, let's see. I see there's people commenting, but I can't actually see what the comment is. So maybe I can do that with a different thing here. Let me try to pull this up on my phone as well. So while I'm doing that, I'm going to try to do multiple things at the same time. Tonight, we're going to talk about the emotional health checklist or the emotional wholeness checklist. And we're going to go through the feelings kit from Young Living. I've got a couple of the oils right here, too. There's 6 total. I've got all 6 right here. And we're going to give away some of these oils. I'm trying to actually just kind of set this thing up to where I can actually see the comments that you guys have there. Let's see. Okay, there we go. I can see you now. And so, yeah, I see Marcia, Bonnie, Angela, Heather, Jennifer Long left me a happy face with big teeth. Angela in Louisiana, Kelly from somewhere, Denise in Florida. Yeah, so I've got it all that. And somebody's saying, "Go Saints, who dat?" Did they win? I guess they did. I guess that's a good sign. I've not been having time to watch NFL football because it's so much other stuff going on. Anyway, here's how we're going to roll tonight. Is I am going to. I think I've got this organized into 3 videos. That's what I'm shooting for. And so with 3 videos, if you've got questions or comments or anything, you can leave them there below and I'll get to them as quick as I can. Here's what we're going to do. Video number 1, I'm going to kind of give you some of the basics about emotions. Video number 2, we're going to kind of stack it a little bit farther and put some more ideas together so that in video number 3, we can just rock straight through the oils that are in the feelings kit without doing a lot of background information for each of the different oils. And so that's kind of how we're going to roll with it. I think that's going to be the best way. I will give you a tip and let you know that I don't have a hard copy of it, but there is this new book that we've got out every single month this year with Oily App and Oily App Plus. We're releasing a new paperback book. That's a new thing that we have never done. And when we were putting together these classes, we were thinking, well, we'll have a script and we'll put the script for free in the Oily App Plus. So people that log into Oily App Plus, it's on our website at oilyapp.com, they can get that script every single month. And so whatever I'm teaching here, kind of without the script, you can kind of teach with the script and you can cut and paste or make it your own or do whatever you need to do with it. All the graphics that go with this are in the Oily App Plus, and the videos will be in Oily App Plus. We're doing that every single month. And we thought, man, we could just put that in a paperback book as well and make it available on Amazon. And so I'll let you know that the book from the Healing Oils of the Bible class that we did last month, that's on Amazon. A book that we did on the supplements back in December, that was an older class that had been done before. We didn't do it live here. That is on Amazon as well. And the Kindle version of this book is on Amazon. I'll give you the link later on. The paperback will be out very soon. We got to do some stuff with formatting the cover and that kind of stuff. Anyway, my name's Andy Jenkins. So good to see so many of you on here. So honored that you took out some time tonight to join us. I'll get started really quickly and make the most of your time. Again, if you've got comments or questions, leave them here, and I will do my absolute best to answer them on the fly while I'm talking. And if I can't do that, I'll go back and see if I can get all those later on and at least just kind of type you a reply tonight. So here we go. Here's the thing that I'm learning. This is the topic, the main idea of video number 1. The truth is that your emotional health, I'm seeing this about myself, is I realized I had been emotionally unhealthy for years, and I never really saw it. And the truth is that your emotional health is going to, for many of us, be the lid of your total health. Now think about it, like a chain is only as strong as the weakest link on that chain. So if you have different links on the chain, and all these links on the chain will hold a max weight of 1,000 pounds. So 1,000 pounds for that chain. But then you put in this one link in there somewhere, and that one link will only hold 10 pounds. Then the whole chain is not going to hold 1,000 pounds. The entire chain will only hold 10 pounds, okay? If you put weight on that chain in excess of 10 pounds, the whole thing's going to snap. It's going to break at that weak link, and it doesn't matter how strong the other areas are. if the other areas can support a great weight, but that one link can't, that's going to be the thing that kind of brings the weight down, okay? And the same is true with you. We're multifaceted people. We have bodies, we have souls, we have spirits, we have an intellect, and I just kind of put a list there for you. And we're never going to surpass the area in which we're the weakest. Now, a lot of times when you come to Young Living Essential Oils, we think of that in terms of physical well-being only. And we say things like, and this is true, and this is really true. I mean, I taught it in the last month. We were doing the Oils of the Bible and the Healing workshop. And I taught that if you're physically sick, and if you're on the couch, or I'm kind of looking at a bed right there, I'm out of town working, there's a hotel room where I'm at. If you're physically sick on the bed or you're on the couch, it doesn't matter the great stuff that's in your mind and your intellect. It doesn't matter the incredible calling that's on your soul and in your spirit. If your body can't physically carry that, then you're kind of going to be stuck in the water. Like you're not going to be able to walk it out. Why? Because your total health is only going to be as strong as the weakest area. Now, we readily identify that with the first four that I've listed on there with your physical health. We readily identify that even with your spiritual health. That's a big thing that, a lot of people are coming on board with lately and going, man, yeah, your spirit, that's really important. We see that with intellectual health. We see that with social and relational things. If you don't get along with people, if you're always burning bridges, if you're really difficult to work with, then your business team's not going to grow. Your family's going to have strife. You're going to struggle in relationships at church or the workplace or in your neighborhood or wherever you go. But we often don't see this with emotional health. And again, just telling you straight up, like point blank about myself, this is an area where I struggled for years and didn't actually see it. And it honestly took some guys that I was walking very close with to kind of help point some things out to me and help me kind of navigate, say, hey, you're not seeing this one right, or you need to see that, or to really see that. Now, let me kind of back up. If somebody walks in and we see somebody walk into the room, okay, so I'm just say I'm down the hotel lobby, in the restaurant out here, whatever, someone walks in and they have a physical handicap. And by the way, this comes from this book. I'll link it in the comments later on. This book by Peter Scazzaro called Emotionally Healthy Spirituality. He was a pastor that, in his own words, he just crashed out because of not spiritual stuff, but emotional stuff, not physical stuff, but emotional. And he says, if you see somebody, he has such gracious language when he says this, if you see somebody that walks in and they have a physical handicap, he said, we readily see that, and we look out for it, and we make concessions for that person, and we help them. And he says one of the reasons we do that is because the issue is usually because if they come in a wheelchair, they come in with a cane, or they've got a broken arm, or whatever it is. He said it doesn't make them deficient or defective as a person. It just means, hey, there's an issue that's obvious, and generally it's not just obvious, it's owned. The person sees it and they accept, hey, I've got this limitation. I've got this thing that I'm generally working on. Again, it doesn't make him a lesser person. And he's got such gracious language on this. So it just means, hey, there's something there that's not optimal health. He says the same thing is true if we see somebody that's spiritually kind of off center a little bit. Generally, those people that have spiritual questions about the deeper meaning of life, about their purpose, their calling, their destiny, however you want to term it, they generally broadcast that because they ask questions. They come to a church and they say, hey, I'm new here. I'm not sure what's going on. Or they go get a book, at Barnes & Noble that has questions, and they're exploring this. And we commend it. And, and the issue, again, it's owned by the person and it's obvious. Both things, okay? It's obvious. You can kind of see it. You spot it. It's owned. The person notices it. Okay. Third area that he says, intellectual. And again, he uses gracious language on this way better than I can kind of say it on the fly. So hopefully when we write it down in the Emotional Wholeness book, it's said very honorably. But he says intellectually, and if we see somebody that has a learning, a little bit slower to learn information, or if you see somebody that might have something mental that would be akin to Alzheimer's or Tourette syndrome or something else, he said generally the same thing is true. We make concessions and we help and we go out of our way. Why? Because the issue is obvious, number one, And number two, it's owned by the person. And because of that, we're able to kind of build that bridge and help people move from where they are to where they want to be. Again, not that they're defective as a person, but we're all growing and we're all getting better. The same is true if there's somebody that has a relational or social issue. A lot of you guys, get off the holiday season. A lot of us have noticed this. And you have, that one person in the family that's just awkward. Or you got the one person that comes to the office party that just, they always say the wrong thing. But it's generally, it's an issue that's obvious and sometimes it's even owned by the person. And so we're able to kind of walk through that together. Here's the deal is in the book, Emotionally Healthy Spirituality, Peter Scazzero says, emotions, they're not really that way. Because a lot of times the issue is not obvious that it's an emotional issue. And most often, if somebody has an emotional issue going on with them, if they're emotionally a toddler, but intellectually they're an adult, or if they're emotionally a kid, which, let's be honest, a lot of people like that, right? They're emotionally an adolescent. Okay, I've been there, but intellectually or mentally they're an adult, or physically they're an adult. Okay, it may not be obvious at first, but eventually after time it is, because you walk with this person through life and you get through a year or 2 year of friendship and all of a sudden that thing just rips. Or you look back in the rearview mirror of their relational history and you go, man, they tend to shift best friends every couple of years, or they don't have any close friends. Or you wonder, like, why don't they have you? Okay, or maybe kind of personally you look at that and go, man, I got a string of trail of tears behind me, right? So you go, why? It's because sometimes the emotional stuff is not obvious and it's not owned. In fact, here's what's shocking is in that book, he says this: if you can look good spiritually, a lot of times that will mask emotional dysfunction. And so you see this a lot in church circles. You see this a lot with not all, but you see this a lot in church circles, like with pastors and leaders and people that appear very spiritual, and even church goers, not just leaders, but church goers that appear very spiritual. That they raise their hands, they dance, they sing, all that kind of stuff. There may be some emotional baggage going on deep inside, and they use the God told me type language, and they use all, everything gets spiritually shellacked. They put a halo on everything, and there's a lot of emotional unhealth going on there. What's his point? His point's not to throw anybody under the bus. His point is to say, hey, this is an area that we need to deal with, and this one is not so often obvious, and it's not so often owned, but it is hugely, 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 colossally important, because again, back to where we started, your total health is never going to surpass the weakest area, the weakest link. That will be the downfall. Now, let me come in the video with this analogy from a book that I read, and here's kind of how we're going to roll in the class. I'm going to give you about 15 minutes of information, and then I'm going to jump off the video, and then I'm going to come back and do the next video. So just refresh your browser and then join me back on, and it'll keep the video shorter. 2, it'll help you share them off, and 3, it'll help you know kind of where to go back to if you want to relearn some of the information and review some of it without having to scroll through 45 minutes or an hour of material. So you can watch it in bite-sized chunks and go back through it. So that said, I read this book. Actually, I read it and then I listened to it. And I'm looking through my comments and questions right here to see if I have any right here. Yeah, lots of good information there from you guys joining on that. By the way, if you know somebody that would benefit from this information, go ahead and share it off and invite them in, or just tag them and say, hey, here's some good information that might help you. I read this book, Emotional Intelligence 2.0, and I listened to it, kind of double dipped on the book, listened to it while we were doing a Boy Scout hike months ago. And in the book, what the authors have said is that there's this move where lately people are studying emotions. Now, not just in the woo-woo sense, although that's helpful. Okay, we're part, woo-woo, but that they're really kind of scientifically looking at it, and they're saying emotional intelligence or emotional quotient, so EQ, emotional quotient, may actually be more important than intelligence quotient, IQ. So EQ may be more important than IQ is what they say. So some stats that I put right there, they said that so often in school what we grade is IQ. IQ is a fixed number that is really your ability to amass and to assess information and then to understand it and then put it back out there right now. So the things that I'm doing right now tonight, that's IQ. It's like gathering information, filing it, being able to regurgitate it, right? So that's that. And they say that's a relatively fixed number. It can grow a little bit, but not a huge amount. And it's the one that we always train on. It's the one we grade. It's the one we assess. And it's the one that we think is going to make people successful in life. Whenever you go to college, they want to know your ACT score. It measures IQ. They want to know your SAT score. Again, it's another measure of IQ. They want to know your GPA, IQ related. They want to know, did you make A's, B's, C's, IQ related. And the authors of this book, Emotional Intelligence 2.0, said that may be the wrong way of looking at things. Emotional intelligence may be more important. Here's the stats. I wrote them down for you. People with the highest IQ outperform people with lower IQs only 20% of the time. So the thing that we thought was going to make people the most successful, IQ, high IQ only outperforms low IQ only 1/5 of the time. But get this, people with a higher emotional quotient outperform people with a lower emotional quotient that have a high IQ. So EQ outperforms IQ 70% of the time. So it seems that that one's the bigger indicator. They also say that a higher EQ across all fields, all career disciplines, higher EQ actually accounts for $28,000 more annually in income. On their test they have, it's like each point that you score higher on EQ is worth about $1,300 in annual income. Here's where it gets really exciting though, and I'll kind of end this video with this, is EQ. IQ is a fixed number. It can fudge just a little bit, but emotions, EQ, it is a fluid, flexible number that you can decrease in, so you can get dumber emotionally in some sense, or you can raise your emotional quotient. So, and it doesn't matter what you're going through. It doesn't matter if right now it's all peaches and cream and joy. It doesn't matter if right now it's a lot of pain. And to be honest, most days, for most of us, it's like this, right? That emotional number, that point on that test can go up. We can become stronger. In other words, the whole chain can become stronger. And so in this class, for the next 2 videos, we're going to show you how to do that. And we're going to show you how to use the Feelings Kit from Young Living Essential Oils to do just that. Here's how we're going to give away these oils. We've got a whole kit that we're giving away at the end of the month. Tonight, we'll actually give these away based on this, just by commenting and sharing these videos. So we've got 3 videos coming up. We've got 6 oils, and so 2 winners per video. We'll get back on and we'll give those away tonight at the conclusion after we're all done. And then we'll ask you like within 24 hours to be sure you PM us, so we're not like chasing you down to try to find out, you won, you really won. So that's it. I'm Andy Jenkins. I will be back in about 30 seconds to 60 seconds. I'm going to load up the description for the next video, and then join me right back here on this wall. Thanks so much. Leave your questions below and I'll get back to them.